Hello, everybody. I think we're live. Looks like we're live. I don't know if chat can see me. Let's see what my dashboard says. Okay. Looks like things are connected. Why is my Twitch ads manager not responding? Twitch ad manager, why are you not responding? Okay. I think I just need to reload it. It looks like it should be working. There we go. Now it's working. Okay. Cool. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are gonna do some stuff today. So, how is everybody doing? All right. Okay. Let me get this. It's weird because I wanted to talk about some of the manhwas I've been reading, but I went to pull them up on whatchamacallit, on my computer, but I realized I had some of them open on my phone. And I'm like, oh, I need to go find them. Hey, DJ Clark. Hello, Noel Main. Good to see you. me get situated to get stuff started. Oh, I should probably let people know I'm live. That's the thing I'm forgetting to do. I swear I'm a streamer. Got an ad break coming in on Twitch here in a second. Oh my gosh, I just realized I have all the wrong tags on Twitch. Whoop, whoop. I have all the wrong tags. Well, not all of the wrong tabs, just the Monster Hunter ones were not the ones I should be having. I was like, oh wait, I had the wrong things. Things were wrong. Okay, let's let people know that I am live. Okay. Hello, Bodrix. Focus. I need to focus. Accomplishing tasks. Okay. Post that there. Ooh, that's cool, Noel, man. I'm glad you had a good session. Oh. Yeah, the ads on Twitch can get kind of brutal, Silva. There is absolutely a reason I do not get too many viewers on the Twitch side. There is absolutely a reason. What? Come on, computer. Come on, internet. Cooperate with me.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, Silva. With Twitch as an affiliate, right? You can have it set to do the default is pre-roll ads, where anyone who clicks on your stream gets ads instantly, right? Or there, which tends to be turn off some people, but it's what a lot of the bigger channels just usually default to. Oh no, Alice, not the loss of taste. Oh no, I'm sorry. I hope everything gets dealt. I hope everything gets dealt with. But you can set Twitch to disable pre-roll ads, but in order to do that, you have to give Twitch permission to run ads within 5 minutes of someone coming onto your stream. So it means when they come onto your stream, the first 5 minutes have like no ads, but the thing is, it doesn't always do that. Sometimes it still does pre-roll ads, then it does the ads again like 5 minutes later, and I have the ad set for 1.5 minutes for each set of ads. Hey, you know what? I'll take it, Silva. I'll take it. All right, I posted that there. Okay. The perfect draw campaign. The PCs this time around are more chaotic by far. Like, I have a rich boy with brother problems, a bad boy banded 10 states, a femboy, a crazy girl, and a young genius that really needs a vacation. That sounds like a colorful cast, Noel. Maine. Hello, Nabiru. Good to see you.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. Okay. Focus. That's what I was doing. Okay. All right. I am going to refill my water bottle, and then I will change screens, and we will get rolling. Okay, chat? Good to see everybody. Welcome back, Star Hunters. And we'll be rolling in just a moment. LeMay! Good to see you. Alrighty, everybody. Okay. Let's get my model booted up. Come on. Do the thing. Okay. Hello, Jesus. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Why is my model's mouth not moving? Great. It is having connection issues again. Testing. Oop. 1, 2. Is it not picking me up? Yeah, that's definitely interesting, Noel, man. Hold on. Testing. Why is my model's mouth not moving? Well, that is mildly annoying. Oh, nice, Jesus. More stuff for Gridmon? Great. Awesome. I'm so happy for you. So I use, for my model, I use VMagic Mirror, right? I swear by the if I could, if I wanted to, or if I was motivated to, yes, yeah, I would almost swear by the software. I've gotten used to using it, and it does exactly what I need it to do, right? Normally, I have my model up on one window, then I have a separate window that is my like status window and like my for my tools and stuff, right? And it has different, and like for loading my model and stuff, right? Oh, nice, Jesus.
And so this thing has different tabs where I can go through the different things of the settings. But then there's a thing on the first page to open a separate settings window, right? That has pretty much the same things. So I was like, okay, well, it's not picking up my microphone. So let me go to the one tab to look at lip sync. It says, well, microphone USB. I'm like, why is that not doing that? You know, I checked and it says it should be connected. And then I opened the separate settings window, and that's the one that says it wasn't connected. And I'm like, these windows should be identical. Whatever. This is weird. I see that Noel made a post that popped up on the chat on the screen, but I don't see it in my feed, in my thing, in my dashboard. Let me check something. It's weird. Okay, hold on. This is still okay. This is okay. This appears to be working, I think. Yeah. Okay. That's weird. Hey, Noel Main. Not to put you on the spot, but can you say put something else in chat? I want to see if there's something up with it reading your chats up to my dashboard. Because like all but one of my windows like shows that you said that, oh hey, oh yeah, Jesus, I saw your post on Discord, great work. But the fact that one of my dashboards just doesn't show that message seems very odd. So I don't know if it was just a glitch, a one-time glitch, or what that was. Okay, yeah, that one worked. I could see that one. Okay. Why is there so much of a delay on this? This chat box is like missing multiple messages and I don't know why. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Okay. Trying to get things going. Okay. That's not the button I want. Chat, that's the one I want. Chat settings. Filter. No, there's no filters that should be taking stuff out. Oh, that wasn't the button I wanted. Okay. Hello, Ali Wrights. Good to see you. Yeah, it looks like things are working on the Twitch side at least. That's good. Things are going well so far. Just got to edit the gameplay vid, and I think they'll get me. Oh, cool. I'm good. I really wish you all the best of luck, Jesus, with the Kickstarter for your game. It seems like it's come really far in the development process, and you've put a lot of hard work into it. But how are you doing, Ali Wrights, over there on Twitch? How are you doing? I have been sick recently. I very suddenly got sick over the weekend. Well, towards the back half of last week. And I've just been kind of like coming out the other side of it today. I wasn't sure if I was going to stream today, honestly. Just because I was so tired. Like on like Saturday and Sunday, I was like barely got out of bed, right? Actually, that reminds me, I gotta send a message real quick. I think one of my something happened that I think one of my friends will find really funny that I gotta tell them. 1 second. Hello, Ramundo. Good to see you. Okay, so I was sick. I've been doing a lot of reading and stuff through some sites online. And I've been really kicking around some different story ideas. And I just watched Gundam Seed Freedom last night, which was really good. Really liked it. I think it did a great job to really tie up a lot of the bits and pieces left behind at the end of Destiny. Gundam Seed Freedom, I think, was had a lot of great visuals, interesting story. The villains were extremely hypocritical and maniacally evil, as villains are wont to be. But I mean, I guess that's kind of what makes them a villain instead of an anti-hero, I guess. So Alice, Gundam. How do I describe Gundam to someone? Raimundo, kind of. It was more of, how do I put it? The whole hypocritical part was in their ideology, right? I don't want to get into too many spoilers for people who haven't seen the movie yet, but like, the villains in Gundam Seed Freedom claim to have a certain set of ideals and be motivated by those ideals, right? Parts of their ideals are admirable. But in a relatively normal story, it usually ends up being the thing where like the villain's ideals are admirable, but the lengths to which they're willing to go are just too much, too far, too big, right? And it puts them into this like dangerous territory. And they kind of do that in Gundam Seed Freedom, but except it goes a step further, in which the methods, so the ideological goals that the villains claim to be motivated by are not entirely wrong or evil, but the methods through which they are attempting to accomplish those goals are not only like tyrannical and evil and inhumane, they also run directly counter and completely undermine the entirety of the ideals they claim to espouse. It was kind of like, So, okay. Basic concept of Gundam. Let's, we're talking about stories. We're going to talk about storytelling, some stories and some of how stories get crafted. I'm going to tell you how I've heard it described, how I've read it described, how I've seen people describe it at panels. Way back in the late 70s, giant robot anime was all the rage in Japan, except all of those giant robot anime were usually trying to sell toys. They were usually children's shows that featured super robots, and that was all it was. It was just super robots and boy with robot, and I don't think that's the name of an actual thing, but it's like this kind of thing of like a boy and his robot kind of a theme, right? Or like robots that were like fighting giant kaiju and stuff, right? And it was these fantastical, silly, childish stories. And there was this practice in which the toy companies would produce a toy, and the toy would have a specific gimmick. And then they would foot a large portion of the bill of the production of the anime connected to that toy on the condition that whatever that gimmick was to the toy would be featured on a regular basis, like maybe not every episode, but consistently enough that it could be used as a selling point for the toy. at the time, I always fail to say his first name, so I always just call him Tomino. Was, as some people describe it, going through a bit of a dark period of like writing some very dark stories. And I read somewhere that it was a thing where he talked to his agent and he wanted to break out of, I think he was doing manga at the time, and get into doing like live action movies. Yes, that's true, Raimondo. And so they we got an ad coming up in a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna let the ad run, and then I will pick up after the ad comes back, because I know some of the people who were thank you for the follow, Ramondo96. So we got ads running on Twitch. When they come back from the Twitch ads, I'll get back to that, because I know some of the people who I was explaining this to are on Twitch. And the Raimundo was there, but Alice is on YouTube. Why is the dashboard not doing the thing? What's your issue? I mean, okay, you don't have to tell your issue that you're dealing with, Noel Main, because I don't want you to like dox yourself or anything. But like, I hope you solved the problem. I don't know what you're dealing with there, Noel Main. What was your idea floating around for a backstory, DJ Clark? That's funny, Jesus. That is quite funny. That is quite funny. Also, if you're watching the stream on YouTube and you have not liked the stream yet, please like the stream. Getting likes while the stream is currently active does help with the algorithm recommending it to other people, to get other eyes on this content, and help with bringing new people into the community. I have, because of just depression and all other kinds of stuff right now, I have not been able to really stream as consistently as I would like, so that would really, really help. Anyway, the ad. Okay, the ad is rolling. No ads for you, Raimundo? That's funny. That's funny. All right. Anyway, so I guess I'll get rolling then. Tomino was going through a bit of a dark time of writing these relatively dark stories, and how I heard it, how I've read it and heard it mentioned at like panels at conventions and stuff. It was a thing where he wanted to break into. Ooh, that's a nice, pretty dark backstory, DJ Clark. He wanted to break into live action filmmaking and do more serious war stories and tell these dark and intense stories. But not a lot of stories, like there wasn't his agent kind of told him there's not a lot of money in that right now, and was like, if you want to make money right now, if you want to help your career, you need to do a giant robot show. That's where the money is right now. So, took a deal. Got the Gundam toy. It had a whole transforming gimmick where it could come apart, and it had like the cockpit section became its own little fighter, and it could go into different things to go into different forms or whatever. And so Tomino was supposed to just write and have like made a relatively normal run-of-the-mill story featuring this robot. And that is not what Tomino did. He instead crafted a dark story about the horrors of war and the fact that no matter what side you're on, you're still going to lose things that you love, whether you think you're on the right side or not. And that even people who even if one side is believed to be the ideologically right side, it is still very often run by people who are exploiting the war for their own purposes. Which, you know, there was character death, there was there'd never been a robot anime like that before. And it just didn't do super well because it was airing at like a children's time slot. It was airing at like a Saturday morning cartoon time slot, and it was like not doing super well. It was it was heavy in politics and war, and death and loss and trauma and well, physical abuse. And like on top of that, Tomino thought the entire gimmick of the toy was stupid, and as such refused to use it in any more than like one episode, in which it was used and then never mentioned again. So Toy Company came back and said, hey, you didn't do the thing you were contractually obligated to do, and you made something that was very, very different than our expectations, and you are not getting the ratings that we wanted. Ooh, that is dark, DJ Clark. So the Toy Company pulled the funding, and they had to very quickly wrap up the story of the first Gundam anime, like very, very quickly, and like had to like end it very prematurely and just trying to like slap things together in order to make some kind of an ending for it, right? And like it is what it is. And from what I understand it was a thing that like, what was it? I read somewhere that it was that like somebody tried putting it at a different time slot, like re-airing it at a different time slot that was more geared towards like teens and more adult viewers. And apparently like they seem to really like it. Because there wasn't anything else like it at the time. And it took off. Since then, most of Gundam has been primarily these very dark war stories about loss and trauma and the pointlessness of war. But the thing is, not all Gundam series are connected. So Gundam is separated by its timelines. Gundam has separate timelines that are designated by what the calendar is labeled as, right? The air quotes main timeline or primary timeline is Universal Century, or UC, because that's the one from the first season, like the first 3 seasons. And that at first, that was all there was. And from what actually I learned about at a convention, they were doing I think it was Sunrise was Sunrise is the one who does the anime, was doing some kind of like like a kind of anniversary special for like celebrating how big Gundam had gone in the first, few seasons. And they wanted to bring in some guest writers to add their own unique flair, but this brought them up with a problem because Gundam was being heralded for its very tight storytelling and its very grounded approach to the robots. It created a new genre of giant robot anime. Up until that point, there was just giant robot anime, but I don't know what Euro Butcher is. Gen Euro in before Gen Euro Butcher. That makes no sense. I have no idea what that means, Alice. But the problem they ran into was that. So anyway, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. The Gen Urobuchi, is that an author? He's behind Madoka Magica. Nice. And so they wanted to and so what Gundam created was what's called Gundam kind of separated giant robot anime into Super Robot, which was kind of very much the stuff that had come before, more childish tales. The robots were more fantastical. The pilots yelled out their attack names. There's all kinds of like silly and bizarre power-ups, finding ancient robots in ruins, all kinds of stuff, right? And then what Gundam created was what was called the real robot genre, in which the robots are treated as if they are just machines, and there are some premise or idea or reasoning in the world that may not make sense to us, that may not be a real world logical thing, but it is a thing that makes sense in that world as to why the robots are used as a primary combat vehicle. It's usually military stories, and there's stories in which deal with a lot of just like relatively dark themes and just very grounded. Like, it's still science fiction, but I guess you would say it's more harder sci-fi, as opposed to the more like Super Robot would be more like soft sci-fi, I guess, to put it in kind of in that kind of a context. But yeah, so Gundam was known for how grounded it was, and when they wanted to bring in these guest writers, they did not want these writers to have to fit within the pre-established conditions and ideas and concepts that Tomino had created in the first few seasons, because they felt like that would be setting the authors up for failure, because then it would be very easy for fans to complain and say something didn't fit or something wasn't functional because of this, that, and the other that the author may have overlooked. Two, they didn't want to be beholden down the line to whatever these authors introduce. Like, they didn't want to have a thing where these authors introduce some weird thing for their story that like causes a narrative problem later on down the line. So they said, what if we have alternate universes? And just say, you have giant robots that are humanoid. Gundams have some kind of motif. There are mobile suits that are the regular giant robots. You have mobile armors that are kind of the things that aren't humanoids, but are like more of like ships and stuff, but not quite ships, but more like weird shaped things. And then you have the Gundams that are like high performance mobile suits, right? or like have some special quirk about them that make them Gundams. And it, you know, the idea that it had to be about these concepts. And so those authors came in and molded the first alternate universes of the Gundam franchise, which was G Gundam and Wing. And they were really popular because, like, they became a really good onboarding thing for new viewers. And they're like, oh, okay. That's cool. And when it came time to export or whatever, Gundam to the West, and they were looking for networks to pick things up, Wing and G Gundam, being some of the most recent seasons that have been made, had some of the highest quality animation, so were more visually appealing, and were self-contained. Were self-contained stories that did not rely on watching like 3 seasons of a show in order to understand. So it just became easier to translate those first. So the first Gundam series to come over to the West was Gundam Wing. And then G Gundam came after it. And then afterwards they started translating the other Gundams got whatchamacallit, localized, that's the word. And that started the tradition of having alternate universes that take where new authors take the concept of Gundam, of a robot that is being used to fight in some ways for freedom. The name Gundam is kind of a combination of the idea of a gun that is a machine that fights with a gun, and it acts as a dam to hold back evil. Which is kind of funny. And because it's the protagonist's machine, right? And every writer has a different interpretation with what makes something a Gundam, right? And they have some different interpretation of what makes something a Gundam and what role the Gundam will play in the story, right? So that's why you see all of these wide variety of Gundam series that seem to have wildly different art styles. It's very, very different designs. Maybe not art styles, but wildly different designs. And storylines that seem completely unrelated to other seasons. And that is because oh my god, not the Chica voice. So, now it has been stated that all Gundam timelines do eventually converge. Or at least, well, so there's the anime Turn A Gundam, which I have not watched all the way through, but I've like read about it, I guess, if that counts, and seen clips and gone over stuff and looked at spec sheets and stuff for the model kits and stuff of the mechs. But I haven't made any of the model kits. I've just looked at stuff on it. But I'm that broke fan that reads things on the internet because I can't afford to actually buy things. But in Turn A Gundam, it is apparently revealed that all of the previous Gundam timelines converged and that any time it's kind of implied that any timeline that features Gundam and Mobile Suit and Gundam technology in some form will eventually converge at the point that it becomes Turn A, which is that they eventually develop the Moonlight Butterfly, which is this kind of wave of nanoparticles that eventually go out of control and destroy civilization. And then the stuff gets to get rebuilt, and that's the story of Turn A. Ooh, that's interesting, DJ Clark. So, would you say, DJ Clark, for your whole thing about saying that the mythological creatures is that they're humans that were experimented on, are they being experimented on and changed into the shape of pre-existing myths, or are the myths being written based on stories of people seeing the modified people? Like, is it the chicken or the egg with that, DJ Clark? That seems really interesting. But anyway, yes. So that is my best, I guess, primer on Gundam. And Iron-Blooded Orphans is its own thing in Gundam. It's got a few seasons, and it took a very different direction with how it developed with its storytelling a bit. And you are correct. Witch from Mercury did feature Yuri. Witch from Mercury was the first season to feature a female protagonist, and for like even at the I think it was like in the first episode, it gets declared that the female protagonist gets kind of shoehorned into a pseudo arranged marriage with another woman, and gets caught up in this whole power struggle, and over time, like, falls in love, learns what love means. That's interesting, DJ Clark. Hello, country girl! But yeah, so if you're ever, I guess all of that to say about Gundam, if you're ever wondering what Gundam season is the best one to like pick up or one to start, my suggestion would always be look for a synopsis. Just look for some kind of like a quick synopsis of different things or trailers that you can find of some of the different seasons and the different timelines, and understand that like they're not interconnected really. And kind of just pick one and run with it. But not that anyone actually asked me. Anyway. So, on to storytelling. Yay! Not forced, not awkward subject or whatever change at all. So I've been kicking around a lot of storytelling ideas, right? It's all right, country girl. Like, I've been really sick, like, towards the end of last week, and I'm kind of on the mend right now. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the stream today, but I decided I'd do kind of like a yapping and chatting stream, because I was like, I hadn't really done a whole lot over the course of like the last few days, so I'd been canceling pretty much everything. So I just thought I would try to like push myself a little bit. Tonight might not be a really long stream. It's probably going to be a relatively short stream, as I just kind of like do some chatting, do a little bit of writing or whatever, just to kind of ease myself back into the motions of stuff. But you know, it just is what it is. you know. And so, I'd been kicking around some story ideas, right? So I started listening to some audio role plays. Some audio roleplay ASMRs on YouTube that had been giving me some storytelling ideas. So I've been kicking around these ideas based on the different ones. And it's usually a thing with like you, the listener, are the protagonist, and your protagonist words are silent, and you kind of try to deduce what the protagonist said based on the reactions of the other characters, right? And so it's very like kind of immersive and self-inserting kind of thing. And I'd been kind of kicking around some story ideas with that, right? And then I kind of like, ooh, that's interesting, DJ Clark. So it becomes kind of a war of the mythological creatures. Is that what happens in your story, DJ Clark? And so I was kind of watching other things and reading other things. Twisty flex, but understandable. Oh, goodness. I don't even know what twisty flex is. And so one of the story ideas I'd been kicking around was kind of more of a role reversal story, right? In so many, I admit that like so many of my stories, as primarily self-insertion stories, feature some kind of a strong male protagonist, or some kind of a male protagonist that like gets into action and combat and gets into the middle of the situation, right? And becomes very much the primary character. I've been thinking some stuff about how I've been thinking about the Shield Hero stuff I've been watching, and the stuff with Maple from both furry, and some of these audio role plays I've been listening to, and thoughts that I've been having. And I was thinking, what about a story about where the main character is a side character, right? And I tinkered with that a little bit with the other story about the isekai story, where the main character isn't the chosen warrior trying to stop the demon king. He's just the other guy who's trying to free the people who are being kidnapped, while the actual chosen warriors are leading the armies in glorious combat against the armies of the demon king. And I've kind of been tinkering with that, but it still featured the male protagonist in a very physical combat related role. Now, that story did feature like female characters in that story did feature female characters that depending on how I developed the story would have taken on more active roles fighting alongside the main character. But like that was kind of like the role of it. Kind of actually, Jesus. I wouldn't say like Goblin Slayer, but I don't know. I did get a lot of ideas from some clips I'd seen of Goblin Slayer. Right. There are also a lot of those kind of role reversal stories where the demon lords are the good guys. So I started tinkering with this idea, right, of some kind of a situation in which the air quotes protagonist or the viewpoint character is like a male character, but he's not a combative character. He's not a warrior, right? He's just a guy, right? Which again, it's like, well, isn't that how all your protagonists start? But this is a bit different. I was thinking of I was trying to tinker with some kind of a situation in which I was thinking a little bit about Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, right? Where you have Kobayashi, who is this relatively mundane, normal character who works a day job and does normal stuff, but she ends up housing and dealing with and acting as kind of a stabilizing influence for these supernatural beings with great powers, right? That have the potential to get caught up in some vast and massive things, right? So then I'd been thinking about like taking some of that and having a thing of like some guy works a job, like single guy works a decent job, like makes a good wage, owns a small house because he saved, he did all the credit building things, and he bought when he had to, sold when he had to, and invested where he had to, and kind of did what he had to do to try to buy himself a house. He's still making mortgage payments and all of the stuff involved with that, but he has a house, and his whole goal has been to get a house. He wants to be reliable. He wants people to be able to rely on him. So his goal has been to get a stable job, just the guy, but houses people of great power. Yes, that actually puts it really well. And I was thinking about this character, right? Who would have, he is a skilled character, right? But he would have what would be stereotypically categorized as the more domestic skills, right? He's good at like treating injuries, cooking, cleaning, and maintaining his house. He works a stable job and has steady income. He, played the, he managed to get himself a good job, and he spent carefully, jumped through all the hoops he had to try to build good credit, and but he's been doing it for a purpose, that he wants to have a family one day, right? But he's nervous about approaching women and about being seen as unreliable, and he just like tends to overcompensate in that direction, and is kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit, I guess, and has been like, I'm going to get all of these things of like secure, steady job, good credit, owning my own house, and all of that stuff before he starts like asking girls out. But then some kind of a situation happens in which he gets kind of like dragged into some larger supernatural conflict, right? And I was thinking if it was some kind of a role reversal in which the female kind of protagonist or whatever, does become the love interest, but she is the one who is the warrior with the combat powers and who's going out and like would be the one fighting in all of the epic fight scenes, right? And she's the battle-hardened warrior that's been fighting horrors that humanity can never comprehend, right? Hoenn Pokemon manga moment? Oh no. What are you talking about, Jesus? Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's kind of a common feeling, DJ Clark. So you can go a lot of directions with that, actually. And so I was tinkering with what shape I wanted that to take, right? So I've been kind of liking playing with some multiversal ideas and some ideas about like the multiverse and different realities that I've been playing with my isekai story of like maybe some destruction god destroying worlds one at a time, and the love interest is like the female protagonist or whatever, or main character. I don't know what to call her. Dutagonist? Yeah, Dutagonist. Is like trying to stop the destruction god, and in some situation happens in which like she gets injured and like retreats, trying to like heal and recover, and maybe gets found or rescued by the main character, and like he helps her recover, and he feels like he spent his whole life trying to get himself into a position where people could rely on him, right? Maybe he's got some trauma related to that. Maybe he's got some kind of an experience with like having a parental figure who was not reliable, right? And or having a thing where he wasn't reliable and he was and he was told that like if he wasn't reliable that he'd never amount to anything, right? And so he has this very developed sense of responsibility, and so after he finds out what's going on, he takes it upon himself to try to help this woman. He can't help her fight. He can't help her do any of the things that only she can do, but he can like make sure she's got a hot meal and he's got a guest bedroom that she can, leave her stuff in, and, a spare bed that she can sleep on if she needs, if she doesn't have another place to stay in whatever world she's fighting in, right? And he's got good credit, so if she needs something that he can get within a reasonable price in his world, he can get it for her, and because of his relatively stable income, he can pay it off over time, and that's just going to build his credit. In the Ruby and Sapphire arc of Pokemon Adventures, the female protagonist is grew up in a wild badass who's really great at combat, and the male protagonist is really into fashion contests. Oh goodness. DJ Clark says, but then all of a sudden his father gets arrested for no apparent reason. Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, a manga exclusive character? That's interesting. But so I was tinkering with that a little bit. Then I was like, well, what did I want the conflict to be? What did I want? Like, what did I want for the female character? Right? And I was thinking a little bit about, at first, what I read about Chandra Nalaar and the Planeswalkers from when I used to read novels from Magic the Gathering. And I was like, so it's some kind of idea that like the female main character is some kind of a planeswalker that's trying to like stop some multiversal cataclysm, right? But she's so used to traveling from one place to another, she has kind of given up the concept of having a place to call home. She keeps all of the stuff that she needs usually in a bag of holding, and she sleeps wherever she can find a place to rest her head, and she eats whatever she can either like hunt or acquire herself in whatever world she's in, right? So the concept of being offered a place to call home seems very odd to her. Oh, that's frustrating. That comparison is frustrating, Nabiru, because the anime changes so, like, the anime is the Pokemon anime does so many things with the story. Like, even I never read the mangas really, but like even compared to the stories of the games, like the Pokemon anime just like goes in so many directions. But yeah, and so that was my first idea that I was kind of tinkering around with, was some kind of a thing where she has been traveling and fighting for so long. Like she's lost touch with any concept of home, and it's this thing where like she's kind of lost touch of what she's fighting for, right? She's at this point, she's fighting because it's the thing that she swore to do at some point in her history, right? But she eventually learns about, she kind of regains that concept of what she's fighting for, right? And oh geez, that sounds super frustrating. Being based on two different characters from different manga series? Oh my gosh. Ooh, that sounds interesting. You know what? There is one Pokemon related manga that I have read a good portion of, and that is Pokemon Rebirth. Unfortunately, not all of the chapters are available in English. There's like a huge chunk of chapters that just like I can't find on any site. Oh, good night, LeMay. You were gonna guess Rebirth? Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Rebirth is interesting. It's really funny. You have like this whole building up, like, well, from what I was able to find online, like you get this whole story building up to this conflict, and then like there's just nothing, right? No site has these like intervening chapters, and then like the next chapter anybody has is the last chapter. Ooh, that's super dark, DJ Clark. Oh gosh. But yeah, so that was kind of my first idea that I was tinkering with, right? Now, the thing about the audio role plays I was listening to is most of them, if not all of them, are in some way, shape, or form romantic. They're built around some kind of a romantic interaction. Maybe not being like sexual per se, but featuring some kind of a relationship budding between the two or more characters, right? Having some different kinds of interactions or scenarios and things. And I was listening to all different kinds and all different kinds of sites that were rated for all different kinds of ages. We're just gonna leave it at that. I listened to some that were talking about a wizard getting bound to a succubus, but the succubus using the wizard's power in order to fight enemies. The wizard was just a hapless mook who kind of was useless to everybody else, was kind of useless on his own and tripped over his own 2 feet. And so the succubus ended up manipulating him in order to use his power to actually do something worthwhile. And that got me thinking about kind of like some interactions with like some of the concepts and predispositions about like this idea of people binding demons to their service or something, right? Or summoning demons to do different things, right? So then I was taking that idea and I was tinkering with it and I was kind of like kicking it around a little bit. And I was like, okay, but like, looking at that, what if it's part, like, there's this thing where you see, at least in like Christianity, which I can only speak on because that's the only thing that I can speak on because that's the only thing I have any real, like, almost relevant experience in. Hey, Goldfish! I actually was just talking about some stuff involving demons. I actually just got onto that, which is really funny. But in my experience of like what I have seen and read and learned about Christianity, is they have this concept of a fallen angel, right? An angel that has fallen from heaven to become a demon of hell or whatever, right? But I have not come across any ideas of a redeemed devil, a redeemed demon. Actually, I don't know. Redeemed demon. I feel like you can make that into a word. Some redemon? Redeemed demon. Redemon. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Hold on, let me write this down. Right, Jesus? Like, it almost like fits, right? Them redemons be redeeming. There's a lot of redeemed demons in manga and anime. Just means you need to make something else the enemy. Yeah. Or like like it can take with how you do it, but I think that the fact that like it's not really a thing in existing like Christianity, which spread so far across the world, is a part of why that concept of a redeemed demon is so popular in fiction. Well, in like popular fiction with like mangas and manhwas and things, because it's playing against type, right? Ooh, that's an interesting one, Jesus. Yeah. So then I was like, what could I do with that kind of idea? I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to do something with demons, and I'm doing something with multiverses, right? And the entire concept here is playing on role reversal and kind of like, I guess, subverting expectations, right? And kind of like subverting kind of like standard tropes, right? Creating a situation in which the male protagonist is the everyday guy who has no powers, and his real skills are in being a stabilizing influence on others and being able to support and help other people. And not like in a when I'm nearby, your magic is stronger kind of support, in a I can help bandage your wounds and I can cook you food kind of support. Right. And so like the male main character has these more these skills that are more associated with being kind of domestic skills, right? And then the female main character would be this demon that was in some ways seeking redemption and trying to fight for some cause. And somehow these two characters meet and get and have to interact with each other. And engineering that is the job of me, the author. And it's weird. Sometimes it feels like, as an author, like you create these characters and then like half the story is like, half the writing process is figuring out functional ways to play matchmaker with these different characters. And so I was looking at different possibilities and things to throw around with that, right? And I kind of settled on this idea-ish thing, right? Actually, let me change screen so I can start writing down some of this stuff, because I haven't really written a whole lot of this stuff down, and we're going to write it down tonight. Okay, good. Let's show. Hey, it worked. Great. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to put in the title Redemon. Normal human. That's an interesting one, Nabiru. Mm. That's an interesting one. If it's like an actual like universal force, but it has a conscious, like, because normally if there's a universal force or like an energy source, right? You're like, well, that is just a thing and it doesn't like have a will. So it's not about the thing, it's about how you use it or how you acquire it. But when the thing has a conscience, then all of a sudden that takes it in a different direction. You know, that's interesting. Uh, Chaos Cauldron and Sailor Moon. That sounds interesting. Oh, that's cool. Ooh, 4 types of magic. Is it elemental magic, or is it more like, application-based magic, where it's like the different types of magic are like how you use it, as opposed to like the element that you would use it for, or that you would manipulate? Ooh. Okay, that's interesting. First one being miscellaneous, second being elemental, third being summons, and last being tech magic. Ooh, spicy. Throw anything that doesn't fit in there, yeah. So my idea that was not the button I wanted at all. What did I just do? Okay, all right. Okay. So my idea that I had for the larger conflict of the story, right, is going for this idea of what happens to soldiers when they are abandoned by the armies that they once fought for, right? So I was like, okay, what shape does that take? So I was thinking it would be kind of a thing where, because I obviously watch a lot of Critical Role. It's one of my favorite shows. And the whole thing, the arc right now that they're dealing with is dealing with the gods, and this idea that like there's not a whole lot of difference between the prime deities and the betrayer gods. They're all still gods, right? But then in the D&D kind of world, the gods and the demons and the devils are like different things mechanically. And I was thinking, what if I slightly simplified that for this kind of supernatural system? And I said that it was a thing where gods, demons, devils, whatever you call them, are all essentially the same thing as far as being an eternal supernatural entity that draws power from praise, and can perform massive world-shaping applications of power. And it just becomes what side they choose to ally themselves on, right? So wee. Okay, let me put this here. Blah 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 blah. Mm-mm. Um, okay, this is the idea. Gods, they're all the same thing. They share three common traits. They're supernatural beings not bound by the particular laws or limitations of physics or reality of any particular world or existence. They draw power from praise and can use that power from serve beings. It can use that power to perform great and terrifying acts as they see fit. They are eternal, and there has never been a known instance of one being killed. Okay. I realized I kind of just jumped straight into writing mode. You can already picture some various moments. Okay. The basic idea I was going with was this idea of like, normally the stereotypical thing is this wizard of power summons a demon and binds some kind of like a succubus or demon for him to exploit in some way, shape, or form, right? But in this, I was thinking of kind of subverting the expectation where instead of it being a succubus or something like that, she's a warrior, right? And like, and I have some ideas about what I would do with that. So I'm going to get into that here. Oh.
Ba, 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 ba. Ah. Ba, 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 ba.
Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, I get that, Alice. I don't know. I just started like letting my mind go and just kind of like getting into the moment. Oh my gosh, how long is stream going tonight? Coming up on 2 hours, which is good. I don't know why I keep doing that, where I write like two or the. I think like my brain stops like partway through, and then when I pick up, I don't realize I've already written to or the. Alrighty. Almost done with this part. Or at least the description of this part. Oh my gosh. I am now suddenly really hungry. Okay. Almost done with this part. Ugh. Mhm. Oh. Okay, so let me go over what I've done so far. Okay, so gods, demons, devils, they're all the same thing in this story. They all share three common traits. They're supernatural beings not bound by the particular laws or limitations of physics or reality of any particular world or existence. They draw power from praise of lesser beings and can use that power to perform great and terrifying acts as they see fit. And three, they are eternal and there has never been a known instance of one being killed. There are almost infinite number of different existences, and so on and so forth. At first, all of the gods existed somewhat in harmony, creating things and peoples to fill these infinite worlds, to amuse themselves and express their creativity. And then suddenly, one god was like, well, what if instead of creating things, I destroy things? And not in a circle of life, everything has to die in order for something else to be born, but in more of a watch the world burn kind of thing. And he didn't just want to destroy the things that they created, he wanted to break the will of their followers. convinced them that the worship was pointless, and to cut the other gods off from their praises. He was declared the first demon and was cast out of the divine realm that all the other gods exist in between all other realities. He created his own reality, and he decided to take the name they had given him to shame him and to wear it like a badge of honor. He chose to embrace the role they had assigned him as the villain of their fables and called his realm Hell. He claimed the crown as the king of Hell. After he was cast out, there were other gods that decided they liked the cut of his jib. And they left to join him, and they were the first demon lords. They made it their mission to torment all of the followers of the gods and undermine all the promises that the gods had made their followers. Then, when they died, they would steal their souls away to hell where they could be tormented eternally. And this is where it got interesting, where the demons found that the tormenting and suffering brought by the demon could bring the demon lords as much power as praise brought the gods. But the gods didn't know how to fight each other. The gods and demons didn't know how to fight because they were all that is one of the things that define them, is that they're eternal. So how do they fight? They tried banishing, and that just didn't do anything. And so they decided to fight by using proxy armies. They created supernatural beings that they would pour bits of their power into, and they would command in battle across the cosmos. The gods created the armies of the holy celestials, and the demon lords created their vile hordes of the demon spawn warriors. These battles continued for ages untold. Some realities were lost in the fighting, but it looked like there was no end in sight for the battles until something changed. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, the gods and demons declared a truce. They agreed the demon lords could only claim the souls of those who had forsaken the gods, but the demon lords could no longer force people to forsake the gods. They could tempt them or coerce them with offers of power or pleasure or other things, but the actual decision to forsake the gods could only be made by the individual mortal. As long as the demon lords followed this agreement, then the gods would not send their celestial armies to directly fight the demon spawn warriors. Then the final part of the agreement is the kind of the big part for the plot. And that is that both sides had to drastically downsize their standing armies. And it was agreed that the fair thing to do was to take the warriors that each side would discard and seal their powers away, binding them into a mortal form and sending them into a mortal reality to live out the rest of their days. This should be another paragraph. Then there's the whole thing about the rumor. Among those discarded, there was a rumor that something had happened and someone, either a god or a demon or maybe both, had actually been injured or killed by getting caught in the battle that they were commanding. And this would serve as proof that they could be injured or killed, and that neither side could afford to have that be revealed. And so that in an effort to cover this up, both sides had agreed to stop fighting and to engineer a situation in which they would not be dragged into the middle of conflict ever again. Female main character was a demon spawn warrior, one of the most powerful. She was named Rowan of the Rose Thorn Spear, and wielded a spear that was said to be able to pierce any defenses. She had fought proudly as a member of the Demon Lord's armies during the war. She was well respected by both sides for her combat abilities. She believed for certain that she would be one of the demon spawn to be kept in hell as a regular of the Demon Lord's now smaller armies. But she was surprised to find out that she was actually being discarded. After being sealed away in her mortal form, her mortal form was still quite powerful by human standards, but nothing compared to her demon spawn powers. She fell into a state of depression. She wandered the reality she'd been dumped in, searching for some kind of purpose. Years passed and she barely noticed, even in her mortal form. Her supernatural heritage made aging a non-issue, at least for now. She is tall, muscular, with flaming red hair, and will look for any excuse to start a fight, because when she is fighting, she doesn't have to think about what it means to be abandoned by those you fought for. And then this is like kind of like the prelude of what happens before the start of the story, right? And then things pick up, right? She gets visited by one of the regulars from the celestial armies. What image do I want for a blade? What just happened there? Jeez. I didn't want to stop here, but I just got really tired and my eyes just lost focus on the screen. I think I'm actually going to call it here, chat. I'll go over more of this story later. And thank you all for coming. great having you all here. It was good to stream again. I wish I could have gone over more things, but it was nice to see everybody. And yeah, it was great having you all here. And I love you all. I believe in each and every one of you. And always remember that this world is better for having you in it. Have a good night, everybody.